Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, anything else that takes my crafty fancy. So this week we are talking about the things I have been making over the past month. So that's basically May. So put your feet up, grab a broom and let's get started. Welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. As I said in the intro, this is my what I've been making in May podcast episode. It's basically what I've been making in May. I did finish a few things off this week and we're now just into the start of June. But yeah, it's a May makes video. So let's get started with what I am wearing. This is the Iris tee by Forget Me Not Patterns, and it actually counts as my first finished object for this week's video. I've made it in this striped jersey from Minerva. In fact, I've got 3 makes that are all using Minerva fabrics, and I'll link to the posts on the Minerva website detailing more information on those, because they are my Minerva makeup projects, which means that they send me the fabric for free, I make the project and write a post in return. This is a really comfortable tee. It's quite a loose fitting tee, but it's got this great origami folded detail on the sleeves, which works really well in the stripes, and I actually want to try it in a plain fabric as well. So yeah, really pleased with this. There are 4 sleeve options that come with this pattern. So you've got plain sleeves and folded sleeves at short length and long length. And there's also a add-on that you can buy to make a scoop neck instead of this rather generous crew neck that's on here. And the same bolt-on also works with the Vera free pattern, which is the one that I made with the billowy sleeves in the mesh fabric a little while ago. That did get a lot of wear out of actually, and I wanted to try that in a more of a jersey too. So yeah, sleeves are a bit of a thing with Forget Me Not Patterns. They don't have a huge range of patterns at the moment, so I think they're fairly new. They've got 2 free patterns. They've got the Verity and they've got a belt pattern, and they've got a few sort of basic wardrobe staples with little quirky tweaks on them. There's a great dress pattern that's got a wavy seam line around the hips, for instance. So there, they are an interesting pattern company to keep an eye on, and their instructions are very, very good. So yeah, Forget Me Not Patterns. This is Iris, and I have previously made Vera. I will be making the belt as well, which I think is called Gemma, or it might be released at the same time as a dress called Gemma. I can't quite remember. But yeah, it's a nice company to get the patterns from. They're clear, the sizing's great. This is not a fitted tee, it's quite loose fitting, but it's comfy and it's simple and it's quick to make, so all good. The other thing that I'm wearing, you can just about see the waistband of. I have made this month 2 pairs of shorts, so they're going to count towards my Make 9 under the trousers section, and these are a bit more successful than the SOS pants that I made previously. I do want to try the SOS pants pattern again with the other leg option to see if that works better for me, but these are the Chatean shorts by Deer and Doe, and obviously if I stand up you're not going to get a very good view of them, so I will put a picture up here. As I say, these are also from Minerva fabric, so they will be in a Minerva post which will be linked down below, and that will already be live before this video goes live. For these ones I've used a charcoal grey stretch suiting. The pattern's not written for stretch fabric, I just happen to have stretch fabric, and because I'm at the upper end of the sizes for this particular pattern, I felt having the stretch fabric might be a sensible way to go. Deer and Doe are in the process of expanding their pattern sizes, so they will probably end up putting larger sizes on this particular pattern at some point. They weren't there when I bought it. So for this option I've used the high waist. There's a standard waistband and a high waistband available in the pattern, both with this like V front yoke style to the waistband. And for the grey shorts I've used the fold up cuff option, and they're really comfy. This fabric is quite soft and quite drapey for a suiting. I mean, not drapey like chiffon, but for a suiting it's quite drapey. It doesn't really crease, which is good. It presses fine for seams and stuff, but it doesn't really hold the crease. So for the turn-up hems, it works really nicely. The pockets on the front look generous. They could be larger on the inside. So in future I may well tweak the pocket pattern to make the pocket bag a little bit bigger, so they're a little bit more useful. On the back they've got just flaps, non-functional pockets, which on this fabric I did have to tack down to stop them sort of poking up weirdly on my butt, because that's not a look I was going for. I was a little concerned that I may not quite fit into the waist on the top end of this pattern range. I mean, I'm not a small girl, but I'm not huge. So I was a little bit wary trying these on, but actually there's enough ease in the waistband that when I'm standing up they're a little loose around the top here, which is great. So there's a little bit of gapping when I'm standing up here, but that just means I've got room for cake, so that's fine. They're closed with an invisible zip on the side. One of the other adjustments that I might consider making if I make high-waisted shorts from this pattern is just reducing the height of that waistband a little bit. I don't mind where it's sitting, it's quite comfortable, but it's about an inch and a half, actually probably nearer 2 inches. I'm just measuring it out. Yeah, that far above my natural waist. So it's probably about an inch higher than it needs to be. So if I reduce it by kind of that much, then it'll sit at the bottom of my ribcage rather than over the top of my ribcage. There's not much space between the top of the shorts and the bottom of my bra, which is fine. It's comfy, it's not a problem. But yeah, I may consider changing that. But overall, I'm really happy with these. With something tucked in, they're going to be fine for work. And then if I tuck something out, if I untuck it, they look a lot more casual, so that's good. I also made, from the same pattern, this pair of shorts in this blue suiting. This also has a little bit of stretch to it, not as much as the grey, and it is a firmer fabric to the grey. It has a more defined right side, wrong side. The grey fabric you couldn't really tell the right side from the wrong side. This fabric you can. It's spotty on the right side, and it's just sort of mottled on the back. So same pattern, same size. As you can see, they look rather generous when they're off the body, but when they're on, they're fine. A little bit gapping when I stand up around the top of the waist, but that's fine. I can address that in future if I want to. And yeah, there is scope to reduce this waistband by about an inch for my body. This fabric creases much more easily than the grey, and it also holds the pressing much better. So for this version I opted to attempt the scalloped hem. Again, I'll put a picture on screen so that you can see what these look like on. This scalloped hem you really do need to take your time over. For my first attempt at scallops, it's not too bad. I'm okay with how it's turned out, but it's not perfect. But then that sums up most of my sewing. The flaps on the back, as I say, are non-functional pockets. For this fabric, because it takes the pressing so much better, I didn't need to tack down these flaps. So yeah, so that's what this pair looks like on. And yeah, overall I'm really happy. This is a much smarter pair, so even when I've got something not tucked in, I think they'll still be work suitable, but they definitely will be with something tucked in. And I'm thinking a vest tucked in and a lightweight shirt open over the top is going to look quite functional for the job that I do. I work for a tutoring company at the moment, doing admin, so I'm kind of public facing, but not quite at the moment because of stuff. But we're dealing with kids, so you won't be comfortable. You're not dealing with large numbers of people at once, but we do need to be kind of smart because people are paying us. So yeah. So yeah, 2 pairs of shorts, and that's definitely my trousers section of my Make 9 covered. I'm pretty much flopping on most of my Make 9 at the moment, but that's okay. it's a personal challenge. There's no sort of penalty for not passing it. I have done the dressing gown, which you saw a little while ago, the lichen duster, and I have done now 3 trousers. So I have done some, but there's still a bit of a way to go for my Make 9. In a few weeks' time, maybe in a month or so, I'll do a how I'm getting on with my Make 9 and what I'm looking to do for the tail end of the year to see how far through it I get. So that's my sewing finished objects, and I have one more finished object to show you, which is a knitting finished object. Regular viewers will know that I participate in Sock Madness each year. It's my 3rd year this time round. It is still going on, and I am still knitting socks for Sock Madness. I will show you my work in progress in a minute. But my finished knitting object is actually my pair of socks that got me booted out of the competitive side of Sock Madness, which is fine. The benefit of Sock Madness is you learn loads and loads and loads of new techniques, and you get to socialise online with like-minded knitters, which is great. Now these socks, they're called Little Etudes, and they use the vertical stranding technique that I did a video on a couple of weeks ago. I worked these in a hobby hand-dyed yarn for the main colour, and then scraps, which is also hobby Happy Feet yarn, for the contrast colours. Once you get going with the vertical stranding, it's fine, but I did find this portion, I was getting the first repeat going, quite slow going, because it's a new technique. Working out how to manage the contrast yarns effectively took a bit of time, but once you get going it speeds up, and certainly by the time you're on the foot and you're only working with half the contrast colours, it's quite zippy. I should have gone up in needle size when I worked these. I hadn't accounted for enough lack of stretch caused by the vertical straps. I had accounted for the increases and where they would change the tension, so I was using an increase that would moderate the adjustment in tension, in flexibility and stretchability, but the strands did cause a lot less flexibility than I'd expected. So I can get these on, it's a struggle. I'm hoping they'll ease up over time, because once they're on, they fit great. It's just the actual physically getting them on my feet and then getting them off again that's a bit of an issue. But yeah, so I'm pleased with how they've turned out, despite the slight issue with sizing. But yeah, if I'd have gone up a needle size, that wouldn't be a problem. They would be slightly slouchier and much easier to get on and off. So that's Little Etudes. So come the end of Sock Madness, some of the designers decide to put their patterns up for everybody. Some of them decide to do them as paid patterns, some of them decide to do them as free patterns, and everybody who's participated in Sock Madness gets all of the sock patterns for free. So that's actually all my finished objects for the past month. We've had a little bit of stuff going on, nothing bad, nothing to worry about, just stuff distracting me and taking up some of my time. Which is fine, and yeah, the rain didn't help with the motivation either, because May's been soggy. Just been great for most of the garden, not so much for the palm that my dad and his wife donated to us. It's had a little bit too much water at the moment, it's a little bit stressed out, but it's fine. My veggies are looking good. I've got a green tent full of stuff ready to plant out that it's a bit more full than I would have liked, but with the weather this year we've started a bit late, so hey. But that's enough of that. This isn't a gardening channel. Let's have a look at my work in progress, which is sitting in the project bag that my dad and my stepmom got me for Christmas, which says on the front of it, "Not enough yarn, must buy sheep. If only I had the garden space." It's actually got my name on the back as well, which is rather cool. But in this bag I have my current Sock Madness socks. I'm now cheerleader, so I've got no time pressure. I think the round's pretty much finishing up now. And I'm just about to start the heels on these socks, so I've not been rushing, I've been taking my time. But these are knitted in Cascade Heritage, and what are they called? Sweet Rose. These are the Sweet Rose socks. So they've got a textured knit purl pattern across the instep, and that's going to continue up around the leg with a few other features involved in it, and then there's beaded embroidery roses that go on at the end. So these are quite cute little socks. There's only another couple of rounds of Sock Madness left after these, so if I don't end up knitting the same socks as the other people on my team at the same time, it's not a problem. But yeah, these are quite cute. I've gone up a needle size on these because there's only one stitch count in the pattern, and it's a smaller stitch count than I normally do for socks. So I've tried to counterbalance that by going up a needle size. At the moment that's working fine, the feet fit me fine. As I say, I'm at the point where I'm now ready to put the heel in. If I do another repeat, the sock foot's going to be too long, and it's just about long enough with the amount of stretch you get in socks, particularly given the larger stitch size, to be pretty much ready to put the heel in. And it's a tomato wedge heel, which I've not done before, so I'm going to be separating these socks onto 2 separate circular needles to do that, because otherwise I'm going to get in a complete muddle trying to do those over the two, because you need stitches from the instep as well as the sole to work it. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit confusing to do with two at a time. So I'll take them off onto separate needles, work the heels, and then return to 2 at a time for the leg, which is something I do quite often with weird heels, particularly during Sock Madness. I don't also generally use the same heel. I generally use a German short row heel for most of my socks because it's easy, and I can do that 2 at a time. I can do heel flap and gussets 2 at a time as well. When you're only working on the sole stitches for your heel, it's fine. You just work one sock and then work the other for the heel, because they're all on the same side of the loop, so it doesn't cause too much of a problem. But when you have to start incorporating stitches from the other needle, it gets a little bit complicated with the magic loop 2 at a time. So yeah, so I'm going to be working on those. I still haven't worked on my shawls. I still haven't done any spinning or any weaving. But like I say, it's been a bit distracting. My temperature cross stitch is about 2.5 months behind. That'll catch up though, because they don't take too long to do, so when I've got a bit of time I'll just plough through April and May and into June. So probably by the end of July, hopefully, I'll be up to date on that. I've got the cross stitch that I haven't touched all year to get cracking on with. I've got a cross stitch waiting in the wings that I've got the kit for. And I've got Heaven and Earth designs that I want to start kitting up, but that's going to take a bit of time because there's like over 100 colours that I don't have. So I'm going to buy the threads for that in batches to spread the cost. But mostly it's been work and gardening and a bit of sourdough baking going on around here. So that's all I've got to show you really at the moment, until next month's what I've been making. Hopefully there'll be a few more finished objects by then. Those socks should certainly be done. And let's see if I can get some shawls progressed, and let's see if I can get some progress on my temperature cross stitch. So this is my accountability call. Next month I will show you where I've got to on the cross stitch, or the temperature cross stitch, and on my 2 shawls, and I'll have that pair of socks finished. That's my plan. I've also got a couple of dresses to make, but they're Minerva projects, so they'll get done anyway, because they've got sort of soft deadlines. But yeah, that's me for today, so I'm going to go and edit this video, get it up for you, and might put on some strawberries and tomatoes if I've got enough compost. Who knows? So that's all for today. If you haven't already liked and subscribed down below, do that, and ding the bell like all the YouTubers tell you. You know what you're doing, you've been around here a while. So I don't really need to explain how and why we like and subscribe and ding bells on YouTube. But yeah, so do those, and I will see you next time. But until then, happy crafting, and bye-bye for now.